Yeah, so in terms of what we were hoping to achieve for clients, well, at the start of it, we didn't really know what we were going to achieve. We just knew that the whole thing just didn't smell right, in a nutshell. And in these kind of situations, what you're hoping to do is to really recover money for people for the injustice of having been moved that we believed wasn't in the correct manner, in a compliant manner. So it's recovering compensation for these people, but it's recovering compensation that makes a difference to them. That's kind of what we're all about, and that's why we keep sort of repeating here the message. Look, we do things forensically, we go that extra step that other people can't be bothered to do. For us, it's all about giving the customer the best possible chance to get compensation back, and hopefully a useful amount of compensation that will realistically make a difference to their life. Would that be fair to say? Yeah.
Yeah, and managing the client's expectations, as we mentioned earlier, that obviously this for ourselves, this is a totally new type of claim that we've been working on over the last 2 years. So we had no track record to show people regarding claims against True Potential. Obviously, we can let people see what we've done in the past. Obviously, we've been doing pension transfers now, I think, since 2019.
Yeah.
And we've been extremely successful at doing that. But obviously, focusing on True Potential was obviously a new venture from our point of view. And it has been obviously quite enjoyable from our point of view, I think. Mike, do you have to say?
Yeah, it's great, because for us, it's all about making a difference to people's lives. I mean, I know that it might seem a bit glib, but honestly, that's always what we've been about since the day we started claiming compensation for people. It's what we've always, it's to reverse injustices, put money back in people's pockets that shouldn't have been taken, and what's compensation meant to people? Well, as we repeatedly say, we've had substantial offers for people, even after paying our fees, running into tens of thousands of pounds. And what difference has that made to people's life? Well, it's made a massive difference to people's
100%.
lives. You've got people who have been effectively lied to by advisors, saying that they could afford to retire on a pension pot that was completely unfeasible to retire on in the first place. Then they've seen their pension churned and moved somewhere else so the advisor can be paid a commission. And these people, in some cases, because of the type of work they did, or maybe struggle to work, they're too old to get back into work now, and these people maybe have spent quite a part of their pension, are certainly in a precarious financial situation, some of them are just waiting for their state pension to come along. And for these people, it's meant being able to repay debt, get themselves debt-free, so they've got the minimum number of obligations coming from their bank account every month, and it's, plus giving them extra money, a buffer that they have behind them, or allowing them to buy a car, go on holiday or whatever. So it's been life-changing for lots of people, I think it would be fair to say.
100%. And probably the easiest way to kind of demonstrate or show that is obviously speak about a couple of cases that we've basically got compensation for in the last month. This kind of explains really in a nutshell what we do, why we do what we do. Both these clients we've been out to see multiple times regarding their transfers. First one, the client was a Diageo customer. Yep. They ended up getting moved to Prudential, and then the usual thing happened. He's ended up at True Potential. I'm not sure exactly how he got at True Potential, but he's there. So again, that was a lot of work going out, plenty of meetings with the client, a lot of reassurance regarding, people obviously think, oh, is this a scam? Is this for real? What we're doing? Well, yeah, it is for real. So there was a lot of visits, a lot of reassurance over the phone, a lot of obviously information that we had to gather in, going through their True Potential portal quite a couple of times at least anyway. And obviously, I think in this particular case, the advisor that they dealt with actually doorstepped the client as well, just turned up out of the blue as part of this process.
To try and prevent a claim going in against the advice he's given, just doorstep the client.
Yeah, and we've had that on a couple of occasions for people. Basically, this client is sort of late 60s now, obviously retired, on work, living on a pension, etc., etc. So what we ended up doing is obviously we put the claim away against True Potential, and it's come back, and basically he wasn't onboarded correctly to True Potential by the advisor. So he's got substantial compensation paid out to him, which is really it's running into I think it was over £30,000 that got paid to him. What that's going to do is make a massive difference to his particular circumstances, make his retirement a lot more comfortable, be able to pay off debts, just make things a lot easier for him.
Right.
So when we get good news stories like that, and you see the difference that we make, it does make it all worthwhile. Other client, very similar, again, in his sort of mid-60s, he ended up getting moved to True Potential, again from Prudential. He was previously with United Glass back in the day. Same advice firm, basically moved him to True Potential. And again, didn't really have a clue why he was at True Potential. Both these clients, technology-wise, they'll say themselves, they weren't the greatest technology people. So again, begs the question why they ended up at True Potential with it being a pure technology platform.
I think to be honest, that's most of the clients, apart from the very odd one. Everyone's exactly the same. They've had this technology platform thrown at them, and these are guys who, the laugh of it is, when I listen to some of the phone calls, you'll get situations on True Potential saying, "Oh, can you download a bank statement so that we can, if you want a lump sum of your pension, we'll download the bank statement and send it." And the guy says, "I don't even have internet banking."
Yeah.
So you've got people who don't even have internet banking are suddenly being thrown this app that they have to operate for their pension. They don't have a clue about the app. They're terrified by it.
Yeah.
And not just that, the advisor's not taking 5 minutes to explain to them how the app works and where to find everything within the app.
Yeah, and that backs up when I actually go out and see people and we see what their understanding of the True Potential app is, and how comfortable they are with the app. As I say, we mentioned earlier, a lot of them people just log on and see what the balance is on the front page, and that's as far as they go. There's nothing that's all they do with it. So for this client, that was an issue. Multiple times I had to visit and obviously look at their document history and what was missing, etc. Again, we got a massive result for this client as well, and again over £25,000 basically. This client has now received, and again on a pension. Now just about, I think, just 69 years old.
Yeah.
That's massive. That's a massive amount of money. They can go and have holidays. It takes the pressure off. Pay bills. It just means they've got a buffer zone there as well.
Yeah.
And it's tough, obviously, with the cost of living and what's been going on in the economy the last few years. It's tough. It's tough out there. It's tough to pay bills. It's tough to have money available to do what you want to do rather than just exist. So this is massive for these guys, and it kind of backs up the point of, we always kind of say we are a claims management company. We're not a stereotypical claims management company.
Far from it.
Obviously backed up by the fact that the work we do before we put the claim in, whereas a lot of other people out there, they
Cut corners. I'm not aware. And to be clear here, we've been, as I say, claiming since 2011. And previously, for a number of years, I sat on the executive committee of the Alliance of Claims Companies. And, we're talking about big claims companies that are involved, and, we're relatively small in comparison. But we were the only company to do claims in the manner that we do. In other words, highly forensic, getting the facts, not willing to guess at things, to give each single claim the best chance possible. That would be fair to say.
100%. And then I think probably feedback that we get from the clients is really, really positive.
Yeah.
And particularly when we do get offers for people, it's really great.
It's great to be able to share good news with these people,
100%.
because these people, and we've kind of said to them, don't expect anything.
No, we
don't
do
want
manage
to build
their
people's expectations. You have to manage people's expectations. And then when you say to them, look, we actually think you maybe should have got more, but this is what you're getting offered.
It's just being honest with people and saying, and look, what this money could do for you.
And I mean, we're obliged under FCA rules to ask people what they think of our service. And we'll just read some of these out. I mean, they're just brief, but we have to send these out to every single client that we've dealt with.
And these are all recent.
These are all recent. Yeah, exactly. So
now,
here's one, for example. Yes, very happy with the service Beat the Banks provided. Would definitely recommend them.
Yeah. Another one got here. Absolutely outstanding, and professionalism throughout was second to none. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Another one here. I found every aspect of my claim was handled 100% professionally. An exemplary service. I would have no hesitation in recommending them to anyone.
This one here. They made me feel secure with the way they did things. Very professional.
Another one here. Very happy as Mike and Craig took me through everything and explained every step until completion. For that, I thank you. And
last one here. A pleasure to deal with. Made it very easy for me. So that's real people.
Yeah, that's real kind of the feedback. Impact that we've made for people. And it's nice. I mean, we do this because we care, is the bottom line.
100%, yeah.
That's it.
100%.
Or else we wouldn't go to the extent that we do. You could cut corners, you could maybe not get a file here, maybe not get a file there. But for us, it's absolutely vital that we show exactly what's happened and explain to people what's happened. Because these people, they've paid thousands in the first instance to get advice to move away from their final salary pension. And it'd be clear here, when we look at the advice that was given to these people, in the main, it was appalling. These people did not have a clue how they were moved. It was never explained. And in the case of the independent benefit consultancy, who have moved masses of these people in conjunction with a referral from PTC Financial Advice Scotland Limited, and both firms are now in Financial Services Compensation Scheme default, not one single client received a suitability report. And I'm sorry, that's just disgusting, quite frankly.
Yeah, 100%.
You're just misleading people.
100%. And the two clients we spoke about earlier on, obviously, but they were moved. Obviously, the fees that they were paying for that, we were looking at £15,000, £16,000 that they were actually charged to move out their company scheme initially, to go to Prudential or Old Mutual, wherever they ended up at. So they have been hit with that fee initially, and then obviously they've been moved again to True Potential further down the line.
Absolutely. As we continue to pursue True Potential, we're widening the net, casting the net further. I say we're now looking at people who have contacted us based down south. We are aware, we know the advisors that are involved because we've been in the industry for many, many years, and we know who's moved people to True Potential. And we know that it's all over Scotland, and certainly it's all over England as well.
Yeah.
And the more that we look at these cases, pull other advisors into it, we can see exactly the same things happened. And obviously, when you get authorised and regulated by True Potential, you have to go on a course. It's a serious concern to us that people are no sooner authorised and regulated by True Potential than they're doing things that really aren't consistent with what good advice is and how good advice should appear and how it should be done in a compliant manner.
And we could understand that if we were just dealing with one isolated advisor who was doing that, you could think, well, fair enough, that's maybe just he's worked us out and this is how he's doing it. But it's more than that. We now know it's more widespread than that. So
absolutely,
it's obviously. It's a pattern of behaviour that they've been told to follow, basically.
Yeah, I mean, what's the scale of the scandal? Well, the scale of the scandal is that True Potential have grown, as we've said previously, exponentially. They've grown from having single billions under management in about 2018 to 30 plus billion now. And okay, there are some people who will have just thought, yeah, True Potential sounds like a great option, and for some people it may be an absolutely perfect option. But there are then many people that have been moved to True Potential by direct offer or by an advisor sale, and we can identify that neither have been done in a correct manner, a compliant manner. So therefore, when you look at the amount of billions that have been added on to funds under management, this is a massive issue. It's not just the great Alloa pension scandal. It's much, much bigger and much, much much more widespread.
Yeah, I would agree. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. It's not just the Alloa area that's affected. It is widespread. It will be widespread, and it's really getting the message out regarding this. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, does this affect me? What should I do? Well, yeah, you just really have to think what's happened in your pension journey. Is anything of what we are saying ringing alarm bells with you? Were you in a company scheme? Were you moved out to another company like a Prudential or an Old Mutual or a Standard Life or anything like that? And then did you then ended up out of the blue getting moved to True Potential? And you're not sure why you got moved to True Potential, how you got moved to True Potential, what was the benefits of you getting moved to True Potential? Is the advisor that moved you still your advisor? Has he retired? Has he disappeared into the sunset? Do you now just deal with True Potential on the phone? If you're needing financial advice, you have to speak to someone at True Potential. You've not got a regular financial advisor. If this is anything like this relates to yourself, you need to speak to us. Would you agree, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always been a free check we do. That's something we've never changed right from the outset. It's just we think it's the best way to do it. You're working in the customer's best interest, and that's always been highly important.
Do you want to explain a little bit more what that free check actually is?
That free check is huge. So if somebody has an inquiry, what we'll do is genuinely myself, or it could be Craig, we'll have a long chat with the client just to discuss what we know about True Potential, to also discuss with them what's happened in their particular case. And kind of immediately we can determine whether it's been an advised sale or it's likely a direct offer. But then that involves us then looking at the advisor. Does the advisor still work with True Potential? Has the advisor moved on to somewhere else? Has the advisor exited the industry? And has the advisor, did he have a previous company? Has that company now closed down?
Yeah.
Because there are reasons why people do these things. And then, further discussions with the client, we'll tell them, right, we think this sounds like an advised transfer. Now, we think this is what happened. And they'll say, that's remarkable. How did you know that's what happened? Yeah, because you know what? It's the same or virtually the same for every single one. And then, once we've discussed it and we've said, right, okay, do you want us to go ahead and recover your files? There's no obligation here at all. That's just what we do. And then once we recover these files, it's for myself and Craig to go through them with a fine-tooth comb, which is a long process, I can assure you, especially in some cases. We're talking thousands of pages over multiple files. And as many as 40, 50 phone calls from True Potential. And then at that point we say, right, okay, we think you've got a claim. This is why we think you've got a claim. You want to do it yourself, or are you happy enough for us to do it? And that's the way it always has to be approached. And, that's entirely down to the client.
Yeah, and I would say there initially, for people, look, it's rapport building. We'll speak to you. We'll guide you through it. We'll hold your hand. Don't worry if you've not got a lot of paperwork. A lot of people don't have a lot of paperwork for what happened back in the day. That's not a problem. Obviously, we'll speak to you. If I have to come out and visit you, we'll come out and visit you. We'll see what you've got. So don't worry if you think, oh my goodness me, I don't have any of that paperwork left. We can get what we can get from you. Enough information that we can then go to the providers like your Prudentials, your True Potentials, who your company pension scheme was. If we know that, we can get the files from there. So please don't worry about that in any way, shape or form. We'll hold your hand through the whole process.
That's absolutely. And if anybody's got any concerns, look, they can just call us direct on the office number here in 01382 200 474. Or you can go on the website. There's loads of information there about True Potential in particular, what we've been up to. And there's from there, if you like what you see and want to find out more, you can contact us from there either by email or, as I say, just simply call the office on 01382 200 474.
Yeah, I would also say that a couple of things which customers ask me when I'm out and about seeing them, and probably two questions really that crops up time and time again. if the clients make a claim, will it affect their pension at true potential? Every time I kind of go out and see people that it's asked, well, no, it doesn't. It won't affect your pension at true potential. What you're claiming about is regarding how you got moved there. So do not worry about that in any way, shape or form.
No, I think it's a simple thing to say there is, yeah, absolutely, claiming has no effect on your current pension arrangements, but also a successful claim equals more money in your retirement. It's actually that simple.
Yeah. The other question we get asked is my money safe at true potential? And well, yeah, it is safe at true potential.
Of course it's safe, yeah. It's just it's safe at true potential, but it's just a question of, were you onboarded in a compliant manner, and were you absolutely made fully aware of the transfer and how the transfer was taking place? And here's a very, very important point as well. Did you actually sign to consent for your transfer? And that is an extremely important point that we've been uncovering over the last few months.